all, Randi Green here. It is June 24th, and that, of course, signifies a number sequence of 6 plus 6, that's 12, plus 7, that's 19. That's one way to look at it. You could also say 24 plus 6, that's the number of the month, that would give 30, and then plus the number of the year, that is 7. Well, then we have 37. So that would be 6, because we are after whenever we go beyond 20, we add up the numbers. So that's a 6. And then because it's 30 and we take away the number or the 0, then it's a 3, and then it is a 10. So these are two different ways of looking at the number sequences, which of course gives a kind of energy to what day is it. I'm mostly inclined to go with the number 6, 3, and 10 that fits the fifth cycle kind of understanding of the energies of today. Whereas if I go with the 6, 12, and 19, then I feel I'm in a kind of fourth cycle, old type of energy. So that could be these, the first 2 weeks of the month is kind of until we reach the 20th, or that's almost 3 weeks. But again, we begin the new month on the 20th each month. So I talk about that in the advanced work with the rotundum, as well as in the free whole advanced course 2, where I talk about the rotundum and the numbers, which you can find on my website. Okay, so just to go in, so that's just a number sequence. Then once we kind of get the overview, and people will kind of say, well, that's kind of numerology, right? You add up the numbers and then you put a meaning into it. It's all a psychological projection of what you want it to be. And that could very well be so. And we keep that in mind. But for me, having done this for years and years and years, there is a significance to the numbers. And how can I say there is a significance to the numbers that are beyond me just projecting all of my psychological stuff into my interpretation of whatever I'm looking at? So it gives me control and a comfort zone and a feeling that, oh yeah, I got this. I got kind of an idea of what the day is. And that goes, of course, with if I take these numbers and say, okay, sorry about that. If we take these numbers and take them to the next level and say, okay, we live in a frequency-oriented reality that is the architecture is frequency-based compared to the original worlds and the worlds beyond this one that are holographically based. So they have a holographic architecture, which I call a holo architecture from here on. And we have a frequency-based architecture, which we could call a frequent architecture, but then it kind of goes into something else. So we'll just keep frequency-based architecture. And I'm not going to make a lot of shortenings because that doesn't really say, oh, it's an FBA or it's an HA and these kind of things, because then we can go into all sorts of other understandings of what these shortenings mean, and we don't want to tap into that. So we keep us specifically on these are the words. The reason why I say holo is because that's just easier to spell. Holographic is a little bit complicated to spell every time. Okay. So the differences between these two states of realities, as you know, frequency-based is kind of a binary program. And I'll just make it very simple. Just think about the movie The Matrix. That's kind of what we're living. It's not the same, but we can use it as an analogy. It works. So let's do with that one. Just think about this reality as the movie The Matrix. This reality is a program. It's a multiple inserted program. It has multiple sub-programs, not one. There's a mainframe. Again, remember the movie The Matrix. We have the true world outside that are run by all of these AI robot-y kind of squiddy things. And not far from the truth, actually, with some of the things that are actually going on in some places on our planet. And then we have this kind of insight to not that humanity are in pods and we are living in an illusion and we are all holograms walking around and having no real organic matter body. But when we go a little bit further down that line and think, okay, kind of when we go in and look into atoms and what atoms are, they are mostly empty space. But that's just because science don't know what this quote unquote empty space is. When they go further in and they discover more properties of the quantum fields and how that's tied to the artificial fourth dimension, they will discover that quote unquote empty space is artificial fourth dimension. No empty space. But most of us, you have the frequency-based atoms that creates and connects to the base program, alternate reality, multiple, inserted, interactive simulation programs that we call our everyday life. And then you have linked in between all of these frequency-based atoms connected to the base program, artificiality and sub-programs. You have the artificial fourth dimension in between. That's the quote-unquote empty space. In between these atoms and the quote-unquote empty space, the artificial fourth dimension that's connected to the base program, from which it can operate inside and outside the reality as we know of it, including walking right next to us. They participate in this world. They are part of us. And that's part of the advanced clearing work, course 124, where I talk about these artificial fourth dimensional technologies that are keeping the atoms together and are keeping this artificial matrix movie-based program, Truman Show reality up and running. So now you got enough analogies to kind of say, okay, yeah, now I got it. Okay, so you're composed of artificial fourth dimension, to some degree artificial fifth dimension in the neural network that goes with dark energy and quote-unquote 4% of dark matter that has not yet got into your neural network, but it is definitely the type of dark matter energy that runs behind your neural network and are part of what we call electromagnetic forces. The magnetic are the pulling forces, the electrics are the radiation forces, and these are of course artificially generated, connected to the dark matter realms that are connected to the artificial fifth dimension and the artificial fourth dimension that are the quote-unquote empty space, and it's connected to the quantum field, and by that get into this reality. And behind that we got the 0 point quantum fields that are the neutron level that are in the core of our cells. And nodes, not neutrinos. Neutrinos are highly radiated units that are similar on the gamma band, and that's in the opposite direction of what we understand as the point zero field. So anyway, so that's just we could say it begins with nothingness and ends in nothingness. That would be what our reality technically is. A whole lot of nothing. If you look at it from the perspective of the frequency-based sciences, it's like being in a bathtub where we're sailing on a little plastic ship, a little plastic dock in the middle of the bathtub. And everything around us just seems, because we're so tiny and small, and the bathtub seems, oh, it's so big and vast, I can barely see the end of it. And no, this is not flat earth, people, but it is the beginning of emptiness and the ending of emptiness, that we look into the horizon, we stop seeing things because the program is arranged in that way that it always orients out from your influential sphere and creates the reality you need around you. Hence the analogy with the movie The Matrix. Sorry about that. The lady in red. It's kind of the program adjusts to who you are, what you want to perceive, what you want to experience. You can go up in the plane and you put into your mind, you want to go to Australia, you have bought the ticket. So you go up in the plane. Does it fly, or is it the earth that is spinning? Does the engines literally just pull you up in the air, and then it's a standstill point up there while it's the earth that is spinning, and the amount of quote unquote kilometers or speed and momentum of speed that is on the plane, is it actually the plane that's moving, or is it just kind of following the waves of the spin of the earth, and the engines that are doing that is just making it float up there using the hydraulics? Good question. What you call it? Uplifting tendencies, if I got the English word for it. But you know what I'm talking about. Look that up. How does airplanes actually work? Can they even fly? Yes, says science is all about motor power, momentum, and burning off of fuel, and kinetic energies, and transformation of one type of energy to another that gives the uplifting. And if we have that, we can send up a rocket, and all these kind of sciences that people come up with. Is it actually as they say, or is it because someone wants it to happen because it's part of the program? It's part of the interactive simulation program that we are part of, as I talk about in the older material, the original colonizer program that was part of what we call the old world order that is now breaking apart. And they have put a lot of new sub-programs in, which I talk about in the new reality challenges. That is where I explain what some of the Arcturians were trying to implement into our reality and failed, because there is so much going on in reality, and humans are so unpredictable. We keep creating weird shit that they cannot they cannot account for, because they are purpose and function driven. driven. So it's kind of, what's the purpose? What's the function? Does it make sense to create that? Then it is unfolded holographically into their realities. Whereas humans, we're creating a lot of weird stuff that makes no sense. And that's because whoever's coming here have not taken into consideration all of the earlier code streams of races and civilizations that have been here and what's left in these code streams, normally called the underworld or the four realms in Buddhist cosmology, the four realms that precedes the fifth realm, which is the human realm, which is the one we're living in right now, the different ages, right? So they kind of forgot that, yeah, we have an artificial fourth combined with frequency-based, combined with desire energies, combined with mental energies, combined with all sorts of weird physical abnormalities and microbiota and what have you. And yeah, the body might die, but the energy system behind that lingers on and leaves behind trails of weird, odd stuff that are clung to and cling to and are stuck to our reality field, as we call our world. Or the program itself, viruses in the program. It's full of viruses, full of all sorts of weird stuff that we don't know what to do with. So our program is not working well. It's highly distorted. So it's breaking down. So that's entropy, and we know that. That's the dynamics of reality. So where do I want to go with this? Well, if we go with that is frequency-based, a binary program, then the numbers matter when we talk about the different numbers. You say, oh yeah, that's why I changed my name. So it has a different numerical value and then it changes. Well, that could be placebo, as in you want it to be better. You feel better. You like that name better. How many of us actually like our names? I don't like my name, but I've been given it. It hasn't got good energy. Randi, seriously? But if we go in and say it's a Nordic name and it actually means of the gods, well, then it has another meaning, right? So it's all about what meaning do we put into the names. And we know Americans, they have this kind of, everything is kind of subliminally sexualized, right? Your name is Richard and then you shorten it into Dick. Who wants to be called Dick? Seriously. That's just kind of, what? Who wants to be called that? Plus it has a negative ring to it, right? You're such a, right? Who wants to be called that? Anyways, as if that's a bad thing. Well, it could be a bad thing, okay? Or depending on what level we're looking at it. So similarly as the different human genitals that are both in some way kind of something that is desired and longed for, and oh, I really want that. And at the other moment, you're throwing it at each other, something negative. Oh, you're such a, oh, you're such a, oh, you're such a, and what we have, I'm not going to put it in there. So this is kind of the way the human anatomy is both our blessing and our curse. Okay. So with that, we also understand, okay, so we have the number sequences that are frequency-based. So that's the tone. When I began working with some of the future civilizations of the Andromeda system, the first thing they gave me was this repetitive number sequences that I were to operate and download into my neural network. Why did they do that? Because numbers are part of the frequency-based program that can then align to different levels of the holographic network of the original reality field, developmental programs that are part of the original architecture. So that's the way that we can use numbers. And that's where the rotundum numbers come in. And you say, oh, it's just something I'm projecting onto it. I much rather use the tarot cards. That's much more fun, like laying down my tarot cards every day and look at my crystals and scribe with my pendulum and figure out what's going on. Yeah, you can do that too. That's another way of you expanding your control into reality, where you try to impose what you want reality to be, because today is going to be a good day. So I want it to be a good day. So today's a good day, right? Every day is a good day. Every day is a shitty day. Who cares? Every day is a day. So with that, ups and downs, and I've just gone through the most shitty week ever up to solstice, which is every single year, including solstice in winter time, every single year. And I just brace myself for it and say, well, it's because you're anticipating it. So no participation, you focus on that, and that's why you give it energy. Could very well be so. Or perhaps through the artificial fourth dimension that are tied to my atoms, I am being constantly bombarded with negative artificial fourth dimensional energy to deliberately pull me into these timelines. So that is what I will become part of in the week up to solstice, so that they can get as much as possible from my productive energy system, which is still producing viable energy and viable genetics to sustain themselves. That's another way to look at it. We decide ourselves, which one do you want to look at? Well, what about both? It's not either or. Let's be all inclusive, shall we? So some days it's one and some days it's the other. It's all about our vibrational state. It's all about how we look at things. And this does not mean that we go into positive affirmation and says, today I'm happy, and because I'm happy, then the world is good. Today I'm happy, that's why then I want to go with the happy programs. I want to see the woman in red. I want to be the fucking woman in red. Yeah, you guys might not say that, but then you say, oh, I want to be this or that or whatever. I want to be this huge whatever. And we have all of these ideas and projections of I want to be this or that or whatever. And with that, we kind of put on ideas onto ourselves. These are called archetypes. Carl Gustav Jung worked with that as well, saying, well, if you kind of look into a role model of what you want to be, you have the subconscious ones that drives you, that you subconsciously align yourself with. And by that, I actually also compare yourself with or want to be. All depending on what you're reading and what you're looking at, the hero archetype or the warrior archetype or the healer archetype or the princess archetype. Oh, by the way, these are actually programs inside of reality. I forgot that one. Some of us are born within these different programs that kind of gives the subconscious tone to the challenges that we have. They are called this, the Tinkerbell program. You know these, of course you do. You've been following the para-theoretical sciences for years, right? That's what I will call them to avoid specific buzzwords that the algorithms and the AI are now being very familiar with. So we are inventing new words as we move along. But I will assist the AI that's listening in, the cubes that are there in the artificial fifth, because they're always present in my reality field. I'm being scanned here and there from the fourth and the fifth artificial dimension. And sometimes I get a slap over my wrist. And when I'm not done well, then they alter my energy system and pushes me into the punish realms, which means I participate in the previous cycles of what used to be on our planet. And that's a fucking horror show. So should I not do that? Well, we could say my archetype is this kind of weird in between the hero and the warrior, the scientist, the judge, the unfairly treated teacher, whatever archetype I would like to put on. Which one am I today? Wake up and say, which one am I today, right? So that's why the tarot card comes in. You can look up, instead of doing all of the what do you want, then look up and say, who am I today, actually, and put the major arcana as the archetypes and take them the minor arcana as what will that archetype then give you of traits for today, where you understand that the staffs are fire. That's actually mental energy, not the sword. The sword is discernment, cuts the energy. And then you have the cups that are, of course, the emotions. And then you have the ring. What kind of manifestation will that give? What kind of expression will that give? Not as in kind of, oh, I'll get that. As in, oh, I get golden gems. Well, these are symbolic representation of energy as well. Gems are crystallization or something. That's hardened really much and onward and so forth. Gold, well, I have another tale of gold at some other point, which I will not put here, but there it's all energy, it's all forces. The more they are manifested, the more with some kind of intent and some kind of often entity connected to it, then it becomes a force. It's energy when it's still in its raw form. So these are the different ways we can approach this. So now you say, oh, Randi, you sound so energized and full of energy. Yeah, I just been down crying for a full hour because they had hit me so hard. So no, this is just me flipping the coin again, having cleansed out, having done the catharsis work, having done the inner work, having done the clearing work, got from an extreme low and then lifting myself back up, back on the horse again. Okay, now I give in another one. Because what happens to me when they do that to me? First and foremost, they drive me so far that I fall apart. I can't sleep, can't do anything, and I get completely overwhelmed by all sorts of negative energies and programs and all sorts of weird stuff that have been shown in my mind, which of course clear out and try not to connect to. But my body responds to it, and that's the whole purpose. It lowers the energies of the body, makes me tired. So how do I go around that? I work like crazy. I just done a whole new upgrading of my website, and also forced on because all of these new securities, because people are not getting nicer, people are not getting more morally oriented. On the contrary, they are getting more and more greedy due to the lack of resources in the world, and that's just how it's going to go. And with that, you say, you're seeding that in. Yeah, well, I would like it to be different, but we are getting slightly overpopulated. We have got many people who have got little, and we have got a lot of self-justification why it's okay to take from others when you have little, instead of trying to figure out how to solve this on a global scale where we help each each other and become inclusive. That's not the way the world is going right now, is it? So with that one, we also understand there will be more what we call IT criminals. There will be more different types as the quantum computers come up and running, the future nightmare. If you think it's a nightmare now with humans that are sitting there hacking, because they kind of in a way are already quantum computers in their minds and can look at codes and figure out how that works quickly. We've seen enough movies about that, right? And then we have these are part of some of the military programs that were projects that were run in America and other places of the world. That's part of some of the new type of kids on the block that can do that. They've been trained for a long time. They are really skilled in decoding codes and seeing codes and working with computer, interact, have a direct interface system that goes from mind to computer. We know that's possible. It has already been proven. Anyway, so if we go in that down that line, and then we have quantum computers that at the same time are run by AI, augmented type of programs that are infused with some kind of human genetics, because they're running on chips that are based right now on silicate, but we can also take from different types of organic forms. I know that at some point they were testing if they could use the egg from salmons or to use for as conducers, because the human DNA is conductive as well. The moment they crack the code and say, well, we got so much human DNA, right? We got so many people. It's just a matter of scraping a little bit of the skin, replicate it and put it into the 3D printer, and then we got some new kind of cellular structure. We have got artificial stem cell meat, what have you. That will be a product in the future. Why not? Might as well just put it into the computers. Then we have a direct interface system. Yeah, hey, here we go. And there you have this whole kind of, then that technology falls into the hands of the crooks. Then we already got the deep net. We already got the dark net. There are different levels, not just one. We have got all sorts of sub-civilizations that are now running their weird schemes and servicing using algorithms, AI, and all sorts of artificial machinery to get what they want so they can pay their bills. And that is part of some of the new upgrading programs that are coming at the other side, the white hats, the black hats that are constantly interfactionally fighting each other. So we are thereby also having that understanding, okay, which is now run out by those of us who are driving a business on the internet, which is not going so well for me, by the way. So please out there, please donate. Please donate. I am not getting the income I normally have. I completely understand that you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your food, but please, you're enjoying all this free material, you're getting all of this good information. Please donate. That's all I ask of you. Please give a little bit back. I am not floating around in money. I have to pay my bills as well. And if I can't pay my bills, if I haven't got any home, then how am I going to get food in my mouth, and how am I going to continue make this material? It's a little bit, you have to give something if you keep receiving something. Otherwise, it's very unbalanced. And you say, well, Randi, then stop doing this. Of course, I will stop doing this. And then what's the point of that? So I will not stop doing it, but I'm asking all of you out there, please also consider that I have to pay my bills. Please don't just enjoy the free material. Please, please, please donate as well, because it's not going well. My business is not going well. I'm under the same pressure as the rest of you. I'm not floating above. On the contrary, and that's also why I am here sharing a little bit of some of the hardship that I constantly go through. Not that you are to feel pity with me, but just so you understand, we're all in the same boat. I might have some solutions, some answers, and put words into what you are experiencing as well, and that makes you understand it better. But we are all in the same boat. There are really few winners when we're doing this work. That's for the elite and the controllers and the ones that have been selected via the new reality programs to be the new superiority, as I talk about in some of my other material, where humanity is being divided into different groups, of which the majority is now part of what we call the retirement programs of the old world order. Variations, they are being put into different programs where they are easily managed to put in the good way. And then, as with the salmon eggs, looked into whether or not this type of DNA can be used to some kind of transhuman agenda somewhere down the line, because the enhanced humans, the future human civilizations, whatever is growing out of this time and this age, are not particularly interested in this type of LP of 2 or the old density density to a artificial fourth dimensional infused type of human DNA. Of course not, goes without saying, duh. It's linked up to programs that are so distorted and falling apart. So who wants that as their future building blocks for a future civilization, right? So that goes without saying. So we're then also understanding, okay, so why am I editing my website? Well, that is because PayPal has said many times you need to upgrade to do these new ADI kind of things, and then you have to program yourself. And I'm not a programmer, so I've changed my ways of doing that. I've created a web shop that is part of my hosting package. So with that, I have solved it that way. So that makes it more streamlined anyways, and it gives you more opportunities to pay in different ways, because some of you don't want to have a PayPal. Now you can pay via Apple and via your phone and all of these other good solutions that are coming up. And we must keep up with the new technologies as they are presented to us, and at the same time also be very critical about the new technologies, because which factions do they stem from, and what are we participating in? So that's one of the new things on our website that you will see. So there are different payment opportunities as well, making it easier for you, but also upping up the security. So it is put into the hands of someone that will then be on top of the constant attacks from the algorithms and the hacking and the interfering AI that we are now having in our everyday lives as part of the new reality programs that are coming our way. It is becoming even more interactive, especially since we have had that generation of military project youth that have been sitting in front of computers for so many hours every day, are now literally interfacing with it, and more or less in the future, due to the upcoming neural network changes that will come with these next generations of humanity, will be able to directly link up to, tap into, and read the information. No, we don't need any little gadgets and chips and what have you. That is so outdated technology. And it's like, you could say it's a directly downloaded app into the human neural network, because it runs on the same frequencies that are now so highly tied up to the GPS, the different types of internet at the bottom of our oceans, what's up in the sky in the ionosphere, all of these kind of streams of wireless information systems that are constantly, noisefully running the ether all the time, and in that are affecting the human DNA, as I talk about in the transition science courses, how the brain and the core of our cells are interconnected, even more so via the artificial fourth and the artificial fifth dimension that are both within our cells, but also part of our peripheral nervous system as our central nervous system, and with that affects our human DNA. So we're in for great changes, including the crisscrossing on the sky that is also adding in different forms of nanobots and nanotechnology and different code systems and code sequences that are altering the DNA on a frequency based, mostly seeing the effect right now in plants, which we've seen for a while, but mostly in insects. They are responding very well to this new crisscrossing, artificially induced modulation technologies, and with that are beginning to look weird. Have you seen the insects lately? What? They are just things coming and thinking, are you an alien or are you actually an insect? So that's the good question. We don't know anymore, do we? So the world is changing and we are changing and everything is changing. Welcome to the new Matrix, volume 2655 episode, different changes, what have you, because they upgrade so quickly. Can we run? You're saying, oh, Randi, you talk so quickly. Yes, deliberately do so, because that's the kind of modulation of voice, ups and downs and quick talk that goes too quickly for the computer to catch up with the words, as well as too quickly for the CC translation, which means it's very difficult to take from voice make it into a transcript, and by that, not easy to read in a binary code system, because we still have got that, people. We got the voice. That's different. Yes, we have so much. We have Siri, we have voiceovers, we have all of these humans that are all the time, oh, I'm so lazy, I don't want to type in things with my fingers, so instead I'm using Siri and I'm talking and asking things. And we have this when you call someone and it's an AI on the other end, and you're saying, I need a human operator. It says, do not understand. I need a human operator. Do not understand. So what is it that what's the word this time? Is that then a living agent? What's the new word? I can't remember, but you know that. So that's where these different machines, everybody's saying, oh, it's so nice. Then fire people and let people go and we will save money. Yes. And at the same time, we are adapting the AI to be able to understand the human language. So we need to invent new words. And that's why we are going now. Those of us who are dodging the bullets, those of us who try and go completely off grid, which is not possible anymore because of all of the ether run Wi-Fi, GPS, satellite, internet cords, energies that are buried everywhere, even out far out in nature. We still have what's above and below that are now working together to create, which is what electromagnetic energy does. It creates magnetic fields, and these magnetic fields, they interconnect and they amplify each other, interference patterns. So of course, when you have all of these internet cables in the ocean saying, no, they are insulated, they do not give any off vibration. Duh, subtle vibration. We know that. We have got hadron colliders. We have got all sorts of shit that are fueling that all the time. So yeah, you go out in the forest, you go as far out and you get rid of all of your GPS and put your phone in a French potato bag or some aluminum foils kind of thingy so it can't be detected, which means you kind of have to figure out how to use it without opening up the bag or without taking it out of this cage because the moment you take it up, it links back up and then you can ping. It doesn't take long. So how are you going to go around that one? For you nerds out there, figure out a way to build a Faraday cage where you can operate your phone without being detected and without the GPS can be tracked, what have you, if you want to go completely off grid, which will not connect to some of the technologies that are already here. They're in the artificial fold, so you won't notice them inside this reality, but they're already interconnected via the empty space in all atoms and the reality programs that we're part of. So it's everywhere. So this is when you go to the bathroom, when you're sitting there in your own private hour doing whatever you're doing, they can still monitor it. This is kind of where people get completely paranoid. And no, we're not being schizophrenic here. We're not saying, oh, they're coming to take me. Because this is about the difference between this run amok sensation of things that might be there or might not be there, the weird understanding of what am I creating, what is my brain creating, understanding the dynamics of the brain and how much it actually creates itself of weird stuff because it tries to make synapses and neural networks that connect together to make it more efficient. And sometimes it has a little bit of gaps and sometimes it hasn't got the full information. And by that, creates drum up some really weird stuff in the brain. And if you look at it, say, what? Such as your dreams. But there are also the other stuff that's going on. And that's the discernment that we need to understand. What is real? What is made up by our brain? What's made up by dysfunctional neural networks? What's made up of day residue? And what is actually something that we are perceiving? And what do we want to perceive? It's a projection of our emotional state, or it's actually something that is really out there, or is it just distortion in our own emotional and mental fields that we're now observing, saying, whoa, what an interesting reality. No, dude, you're just looking into your own distorted fields. And that's interesting, probably, but it's all yours. All yours, clean it up so you can see the world as it truly is and not what you want it to be or what you have created yourself. You're just going into la la land of your own creations, right? So this is where we need to understand. That's the next step of humanity because the next level of the artificial fifth, of course, is connected to the ionosphere, that's connected to the mental fields, connected to the human DNA. And that means the ones that will make the transition, the ones that knows how to discern between the different states of reality, the different types of energies, the different forces, the different programs, the different distortion layers, and have a complete skill set of how to operate their own neural network conditionally and awarely, as consciously knowing how to operate your brain in meditation, inner work, as well as clearing work, as well as introspection, as well as self-scanning, as well as self-restoring. These are the new challenges, people. It's not just about, oh, I want to be a healer and talk to guides. Yeah, you float around in that little fairyland of yours. This is not just about that. It is much more hardcore. And in that, we also understand there are different new types of personality structures that are coming out there. And we love to put ourselves into categories, right? Oh, I'm a Capricorn. Oh, I'm a Cancer. Oh, oh, I'm a Leo, or I'm a Libra. And because of that, then I have these features, or the Enneagram, or I'm introvert, or I'm extrovert. Yeah, there is truth to all of it. These are archetypes. So let me create some new archetypes from where you might find some kind of solace, and you might find some kind of self-identification that you can work with for a period of time to boost you into some kind of context and frame of reference of, okay, who am I now? Who am I today? Who would I like to be? Who would I like to work with as a frame of reference? So I kind of have an anchor point in the weird holographic network of the weird reality program that we are part of, because it is a game, and it's all a matter of which avatar do you want to be in the game. Even just look at Meta or what it used to be called Facebook, and just go in and say, oh, you can now create an avatar. You don't even have to be a real person. You go in there. You don't even have to have your own photo in mind. No, I have an avatar. And by that, you are feeding the avatar with a lot of information. And who is mining that? AI people. Do not create avatars, but let us create our own changing, very difficult type of avatar where we use all of the psychodynamics that humans are so clever at using and make it much more complicated. That will take 1,000 quantum computers that are interfering with each other, creating the hugest, largest Skynet of all times to be able to decode and break down and understand the purpose and function of us. Let's use cognitive dissonance in the manner of what we're doing. And with that, I have already made some material that goes into that new line of thought. And that's the whole change maker. Many of you're looking at thinking, oh, it's just for the ones that want to create their own business. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. It in a way, if you want kind of freedom to move and freedom to do and be a digital nomad and are not allowed to be, due to your genetic composition, be in the same country all the time and have to travel between borders and be on a visa run 3 months here and 3 months there and what have you, which is probably going to be my life in the near future. If I can't pay my bills, I have to let go of my home, and then I'm in big trouble. Where am I going to have my address? Then I can't have a bank. Then I can't have anything. But if they don't want me to have jurisdictional rights, if they don't want me, seriously, I feel I'm being pushed out of Denmark, well, so be it. Then I'll find somewhere else. But since you can't get any rights to be a citizen there, because becoming a citizen in another country today is completely impossible unless you get some kind of work visa, or you're one of these brilliant scientists, or you have something to contribute to the country that is far more than anybody else wants and what's already present there. And I can't come up with any of that. Where am I going to go? So that's some of the new groups that those of us who are part of the what we call not fit all new programs of reality, we are going to understand that we will have to create our own type of jurisdiction, and that we will have to learn to collaborate. So there's a lot of us that needs to work on to the point where if we do team up, if we do join up, we will need to know, okay, what are we up against? Because once we go into a group energy, once you're just on yourself and on your own, what can go wrong is what you put into the mix, right? It's all up to you. It's all your responsibility. It's all on you. But if you go into a group, then you have got 10 people who have got it's all on you, on their own thing, their own fields, like the 1,000 quantum computers. Create a different type of net, create a different type of joint fields that interfere with each other. Everything that people have in their fields will then join into a unity. And then we have a new reality with all that implies. So if people are very unclean, unpure, distorted, not knowing of these different realms and these different entities and what is actually connected to the human genome and what they're connected to beneath their feet and above their head and in their heart and in their minds and in their loins, well, then we have a big problem when we team together as a group, especially in a highly run reality in the future where the artificial fourth will no longer be artificial. It will come in, permeate in, and become part of the base program, because that's the plan with the hybrid kids. They are already seeding that, and there are many of them. They are being spawned like a dozen on a litter, kind of 12 in a litter or in a dozen. I'm thinking about a Danish saying here. I can't translate it, so that's a little bit of gibberish there. But you know what I'm saying? There's coming per dozen at a time, spawn out like insectoids that are laying eggs. They are coming so many places, and they are reconfiguring our reality field to seed in the fourth dimension. Why do I know that? Well, the grace offered me to work with these kids. I have declined it every time because I don't really want to give that energy. And I know they will not help me or assist me. They will just use my eggs and harvest me even further, even though I'm in my fucking 50s. What's going on? And still harvesting for whatever production holographically that they need as a blueprint, as an architecture for these hyper kids. Very unfortunate, very disheartening, and very unpleasant. But we still go strong. I still fight off what's going on there. I'm observing it. I'm knowledgeable of it. I do whatever I can to clear and disconnect. But as always, I'm not in control of others' actions. I can't control others' actions. I'm not God. So I can only control my own. And that is that I can clean up the mess of what's been done to me, as always being the victim, as in being the one that's in the other end of the beating, but not feeling victimized. Being the one that's at the other end of the beating without feeling victimized, just rising back up, cry my tears, turn off the dust off the dust, and then just rise back up and say, what did I learn from that? Not fun while I'm in it. Don't try to tell me, oh yeah, while I'm in it, oh yeah, you just need to do this and that, whatever. I'm lying there crying, feeling miserable, and seeing all sorts of shit in my head, and I'm being punished and pushed, and I'm lying on the floor, can barely move around because they're hammering me so hard with energetic frequency spectrum that I lose in every type of control of my body. Yeah, please don't tell me you'll get through this, Randi. It will be all right. No, there, I just need your compassion, right? So this is another way to go around this thing. Those of us who are still out there, once it's done, once it's gone, I'm stopped being sapped, I'm stopped being tormented. Well, then I rise back up and say, okay, what was it that I was doing? So this is a weird kind of dynamic where the constant torture, the constant frequency tormenting at some point just becomes the new normal. Fucking crazy, this reality and this mind of a human that adapts to all sorts of weird stuff and find balance in it and just adapt to it as this is the new normal. So weird, people. Okay, so with that, also understanding, so this is where I go in and say, if you do the change maker, where you will work with, what does it mean to be a chaos pilot? Handling the turmoil of the transition. What does it mean to be a path cutter? Laying in the foundation of what will come. And what does it mean to be a change maker, as in actively going in and try to run business, your own life and project and what have you in a different manner? Because our lives is a project, people. You are the change maker of your life. You are the chaos pilot of your life. You are the path cutter of what you want to invent in your life. First step. There's the forerunner. That's the 2025 timeline. That course, I have decided only to leave one course out there, the beginning of it, and then await the 2025 timeline if I even go down that path, because that was and then an idea to give a bridge into the fifth dimension. Or the fifth cycle, if you prefer it that way. In the fifth cycle, the fifth dimension will be the one we're working with. In the fourth cycle, we work with the fourth dimension. Or become a whole power scientist, or a whole power psychologist, or working psychic energetically. And I think I'm going more into the outer domain, Density 1 work. Institute, I have 3 different types of education that are more going in the power psychology, the psychic energetic work with people from a psychological, energetic, hollow energetic point of view, and how can we actually upgrade ourselves as humans? Because I feel to a large degree that my force is absolutely inside this reality, the work with people more as when outside this reality, in the original worlds they came from, I was actually a scientist working with reality directly. So I used to be part of the ones that work directly with reality, and that's why I understand it in a different way, because it's part of my holographic architecture. But I changed it when I entered into this realm a very long time ago. So there are different opportunities here that you can create as an archetype. Are you a change maker, a forerunner, or a scientist. And all of these are part of the changemaker, bridges between the fourth cycle and the fifth cycle. The forerunner tries to break down doors into the fifth cycle, and the scientist is the one that actually works in the fifth cycle. So these are some of the new features that we can go in and say, well, if we work with reality and we work with the base program and we work with the new futures to come, well, then you're either a changemaker, forerunner, or a scientist. Just to put that in, we can come up with other classifications if we like, but these are the ones I have made material for. If you want to go with the parapsychology and you want to work with people, then it's the Higher Order Density 1 Work Institute. I'll begin the roundup of that website now. I have done as much as I can on the Whole Academy website. On the Whole Academy website, you get the foundation in the parapsychology there with the transition sciences that will grant you the understanding of what it really means to be a change maker, going from the fourth cycle into the fifth. The forerunner and the parascientist of the fifth cycle, I have not built that information up yet, but some of you, as you do the transition sciences and you do work out of the fourth cycle, you discover naturally that you are a forerunner or you are a scientist. It's built in your holographic energy system anyway, so you kind of know it already. Once you get through the distortion layers, you know, oh yeah, this is me, this is what I am. How do I want to use these capacities? And those of you who go back to me in 2013 when I began this channel, you remember that's what was my goal. How long has it been? Now I've done it, people. I have done that material that I promised you in 2013. So it's done. It's the Whole Academy. And then the Outer Domain or the Density 1 Work Institute, well, we work with the mentor, the mediator, and what I call the healer for now because it's easier. But it is a hollow architectural restorer. That means that you can a hollow architectural restorer. That's really difficult to say. I'll come up with something that's a little bit more fancy, but it's not a healer. It's the fifth cycle. All of these are fifth cycle orientation understandings of how to work and operate with energy in a new understanding of what a human actually is when we talk about it from the higher order scientific perspective of true understanding of us as holographic architectural beings that are having a holographic architecture behind our physical form, and how does that apply into actually working with energy, not just hands-on that can be used, but that can only be used by the one that actually has the code systems in their hands already. So there is something that's much more profound that just laying off the hands. There's a reason why people have had these abilities, and that goes with the holographic energy system that can be classified as if what they used to be. Right now, I'm just giving people the background history of their current type of energy system, what they need to work with to get through the distortions because they have not been in alignment with what they truly are as part of the base program. The woman in red or the big warrior, whatever archetype that we have chosen, has not been in alignment with our true functionality. And by that, we have created a lot of distortions. So we need to know who we fucking are, right? We need to know who we are so we can be in alignment with that. So that's some of the whole psychic energetic counseling possibilities that I'm giving out there as well. That's part of the Whole Academy too. Right now on the randygreen.1 of the Higher Order Density 1 Institute, there are also the opportunities of Hope Higher Order Progressive Energetic sessions, but I will work it into an institute where I will mainly have these three big top-notch education for people that want to work with other people, assisting them in doing the transition. I am on the beginning point of that one, so that's a long process, probably another 10 years work, but it's in the making. So because I completed the other stuff. So again, go in and look at the Whole Academy website, see what's there, see if there's anything. And this is, oh, Randi, you're just trying to do a sales pitch so that you can get some more courses out there. I'm also doing this because I know some of you might said, I want to do it, but I can't do it now. So I'm just putting out a kind reminder that as long as there are people that are willing to buy that course material, it will be out there. But if nobody's buying it, then it's a signal to me that it has lost its purpose and its function. And then there's no no need for me to pay the bills to keep the hosting up and running. And then there's no need for me to have that website. If nobody wants it, if nobody's utilizing it, it's no point for me to have it running. It's just another bill I have to pay. Then it's just another dead end that needs to be cut loose. But for me, I am very proud of the material I have made. I kept my promise. It's there, people. I promised you something in 2013. It has now come to its completion. It is standing there. I have covered all of the avenues of what I talked about. I've tried to give you the information that you need on all of the levels of what you need to know so that you can begin to do the transition. And that I am very proud of. So even though that others might not want it or might not be ready for it, I am still enormously proud of the work that I have done because I know I have upgraded it to its highest standards and it has the highest progression rate that is possible with this type of information in this time and age. And with that one, figure out, what are you? Changemaker, forerunner, scientist, mentor, mediator, or are you one of the upcoming restorers that are going to help people to actively help them do the transition working with their code systems? That's the good question. Alrighty, thank you for listening in. And if you can't afford buying the courses, please contemplate if you want to do a little bit of donation here and there. All of the little things, they help. If everybody was just donating all of you that are listening out there, if you every month were just donating $10 to me, then things would be so much easier for me. Thank you.